What up, world? Your boy L Boogie Browser checking in one time. So real quick, big thank you to everybody that's checking out my videos. Just like to put a little content out to make sure that everybody's staying up to speed. So just doing a quick video this evening. Watching the models, of course, like I do. Um, Everybody knows Dorian is in full effect, but I just want to point out a couple features that the Weather Channel and some other media outlets aren't really pointing on or hitting on, that I just want to bring to everybody's attention. And granted, Weather Channel, they do a great job, getting everybody up to date, keeping everybody, you know, um, up to speed with the weather. But I notice one thing they won't do is they won't go too far out, because I figure that they can't in most cases, because there's too much probability, too many variables to consider when trying to pinpoint what a storm is going to do. I personally don't have those limitations, so I can offer my opinion based on what I think that these storms may just actually do. And so I'm going to point out a couple of those things right now. So first and foremost, this is just a couple of models that I'm looking at right now. This is the icon. Right now it's giving me the longest duration of time to view. And that changes often from model to model. I don't know why, if they updated it, But either way, so here we are looking at Dorian. One previous model that I saw earlier showed Dorian getting down to about a 929. That's about 9 millibars from a Category 5 storm. Anything below 920 is a Category 5. But also, it's at 170 some odd miles an hour winds right now. 170 miles an hour winds right now. Actually 150, down to 150. If those winds get up anywhere around 170, 75, that's definitely Cat 5. Now, at the current track, some may go as far to say, hey, it's not going to turn into any stronger than that. But there was some that said it wouldn't even reach Cat 4 status, and I definitely called that. But just in probability, for probability's sake, it will get up to a good maintain the Cat 4 status for quite some time. But I just want to point out that this storm is going to sit over the Bahamas for about 3 days. Now, that's significant for several reasons. Number one, it's a Category 4 storm already. The Bahamas will only act as the brakes, putting the brakes on for the storm, because the storm is so large and it's already taken on major hurricane status. It's going to be extremely difficult to slow down, and the Bahamas just isn't enough terrain, to do it. Hawaii, Dominican Republic, anywhere in the U.S. could probably, anywhere with higher mountains, could probably slow it down. But at this point, it's such a monster already. But what I really want to point out is that when it stalls here, one thing that I heard on the Weather Channel was talking about the steering current, and they said around this area why it's going to slow down is because the steering current is going to slow down. Now, although the models right now are showing this loop, this upward curve, I would go as far as to say is that's about as certain as the previous model that showed that cone of uncertainty covering the whole state of Florida. And then we look now how that's changed. Now, I say that also to say that because it's going to stop here, I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see some of those models drifting back in towards Florida, if nothing else for a hard U-turn or a hard right-hand turn. It may not just sit off the coast, but because it's going to sit over the Bahamas for at least 3 days, moving very slowly. If it slows down anymore, it's really going to be worse. It's down to 940 millibars at the moment. Yeah, see, this is not even showing, and I'm watching it as well. But so you can see the variance in the models. It really does. They tell different stories. These are just estimates. This computer-generated estimates. And so you really don't know what it's going to do until it makes, the next move. But I will say, next point, if the storm does continue, excuse me, continue to grow or go along its current path, what happens next after it hits Florida and starts to turn north? Now, the storm is going to maintain at least category 3 to 4 status along the east coast if it does take that route. Based on my opinion, I would say it will definitely, most definitely take that route, more than likely, but with the chance to drift further, off to the west. After stalling, it may take on a new directional path after stalling over the Bahamas. So this is just based, it's like your GPS. They can only tell you how long it's going to take to get there based on the information. If you sitting in your house and you look at the time, it's going to be quite different than if you jump in your car and you're moving down the street, just on your road. It will show you at your current speed and setting, it will probably take less time. So that's a variance, whether you're sitting still or whether you're moving. When this comes to sit still over the Bahamas, everything will change. You can throw out everything. I believe that everything we know about what the storm is going to do. So we definitely have to be prepared in case of worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, of course, it makes landfall and does torrential damage or catastrophic damage like it did in North Carolina, in the Carolinas last year. That storm sat there and dropped a lot of rain and put the Carolinas underwater for quite a long time. But then you look at some other previous storms like Irma, Harvey, Katrina, Michael. All these storms devastated these regions. I think Floridians have gotten cocky in the sense that because the storms hit so much in the Gulf and other areas and really tend to kind of dance around us, that it's kind of like you feel like it can't happen to you and you can't get hit. But I do encourage you all to consider the fact of what has happened in other cities and states, in other regions with storms like this. This is going to be one for the record books, and everybody's kind of nonchalant now because they're showing signs of it turning, but I wouldn't get comfortable with that. That's the projected heading at its current speed. When it comes to a halt for 3 days over the Bahamas, things will change. Now, the effects of that change, we don't know, or what those changes would be, but a determining factor, which I talked about before, was the Azores Islands, and then this high pressure feature here that tends to sit there and kind of navigate the storms. Okay, let's speed up so we can get a better idea of flow here. So you see now at this refreshed view how much of it, if you just watch this high as it moves, you see as it lets up, as it moves, it lets the storm out. As it comes back down, it meets storms like this one and tears them apart. The storm will disintegrate. And it will come back down, and this wave that came off of Africa, it will get consumed. It will be caught up in wind shear and all kinds of features that will tear it apart. But I will go as far as to say as well, I perceive, based on a small bit of data that I observed just a little while ago, around September 15th or around September 15th, we'll get our next named storm. For some reason, it's not, the models aren't showing that far back anymore, or at the moment. But once the data updates, I believe, I'm gonna get that view again. But a storm pops up about right here after Dorian is long gone and often headed, caught up in these northern Atlantic waters. Another feature is going to jump off the coast of Africa, and it's going to stay sustained from over 1,000 millibars, and it's going to drop in about the 900s. So I think we should, I think the high will be a little weaker at that point, so it may just let in the next storm. So definitely be aware of that. um, I'm gonna take a look at Wendy. Another app that I use, just a site that I use to keep an eye on these features, is Windy. It is an excellent uh, tool for observing weather features. So if we just let this one play out, see, now this takes us to the 10th, excuse me, which still isn't far enough. I want to see up to the 15th at least to see what pops off next. But as far as what happens with Dorian, you see from the 1st to the 3rd, it's parked. It's parked. Whatever happens after that, no one knows. There will be another high pressure system that will come from the west, but unfortunately I believe this high pressure system will not be as strong as the previous, and it won't be impactful on Dorian. I believe it will subside to the north, and then Dorian will continue to run up the coast. But you see, after it starts moving again on the 4th, the entire east coast will feel the effects of Dorian, and it will drop massive amounts of water up into the Carolinas and Virginia, wind, rain, damage into the Virginias. And I think at that point the high will carry it off. It still continues to grow there. Look at it. Wow. Look at that. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem for the East Coast. If this would have hit landfall at that size, it's gonna continue to watch it grow as it gets caught up in all this moisture. And I think then the wind has its way with it and directs it towards, Europe. But sorry about that. So yeah, just want to get y'all up on that. It's went a little longer than intended, but I want you guys to get this information. Keep an eye out. Dorian is not, we're not finished with Dorian yet. Dorian is going to be probably one of the most interesting storms to hit this year, or in a long time, because of what it's going to do after it stops here. So let's just be cautious. If you get stocked, stay stocked. Try to help somebody out if you need something. Look out for each other. Okay, it's times like this people need to come together and figure out how to keep their asses alive. All right. Have a good one, guys. I'm out of here. Later.